Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the football show with no name. It is Wednesday night at 7:30, so we are here again for you guys. And congratulations to all of the champs out there. And I think all four of us are champs because Ferg played in way too many leagues not to have won at least one of them.
It's not one of
Um,
them.
and so I think we all are champs on this panel. So when you hear fantasy advice from us, you are getting it from a good source. So good evening. We will talk about fantasy playoffs. We will talk about who's sitting this week and how that may impact the real playoffs. And we'll have EJ on at 8 o'clock. So that's going to be fun. It's always nice when EJ joins us. So we have the normal slew of characters here. So we got Big Jeff Ferg to the left of me. We got Lauren down, Who Dat Nation to the bottom square, and Ian the champ. And now I think it might be 17. Oh, he updated his name to 17-time champ. So Ian won 8 of his leagues.
Well,
And,
no,
we can talk about it.
Actually,
we can talk about it.
It's 17 total.
Okay, so we can talk about that in a little while. Anyway, so let's start this off real quick, and I want to start because I did something, and then I want to go to Lauren because she did something that she has never done before in this fantasy year, and I have done something that I have never done before in this fantasy year, and I won Lucky 13. I beat my bestie Kiasha. So sorry, Kiasha. I know you're probably listening. Beat Kiasha in her own league in the finals to win the regular season and to win the playoffs with streaming quarterbacks ever since Herbert got hurt. Actually, probably like a week prior because he sucked. So I'm super happy to win that league. It's the first time I've ever won it. Been in it. I think it's 10 years now or whatever. Ferg, what is Lucky 13? Something like 8-10 years. Yeah, no, it's a while. So no Hoofnagel. We're going to talk about that in a bit. So Lauren, tell everybody the good news.
So I won the any given Sunday. It was the quarterback I streamed was Joe Flacco. But I will say though, this year's interesting in the sense that how many backup quarterbacks are in right now? Like I'm trying to count them in my head. It's gotta be at least 10.
Yeah, so Lauren actually, so Any Given Sunday is the league that I'm the commissioner in, and Lauren and I went head to head in the finals, and Lauren actually started the league with Joe Burrow as her quarterback and was desperate to trade him because he started off so terrible, wound up making a very shrewd trade to pick up Justin Herbert. Had Herbert for 4 or 5 weeks, that he got hurt, and then she just kind of scrambled. Was starting Jordan Love one week, starting Derek Carr one week. I watched Lauren very intently because I haven't raised you, but I've taught you a lot. And Lauren's like I look at Lauren as like my protege, like my little sister.
Little Padawan.
My little Padawan apprentice. And I'm thrilled that she won. So I watched her start Derek Carr one week, start Jordan Love one week, start picking up Joe Flacco, crushed me in the playoffs with Joe Flacco. So Clint and Lauren both streamed quarterbacks.
Yep, all the way to the championships.
In leagues that were very important to them. And Lauren, correct me if I'm wrong, this was your first overall championship?
Yeah, I don't know why. I've been playing fancy for I'll get in the finals, but to actually take it down, that was I overthought too many of them too many times.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, congratulations. So let me ask you a question. Who did you stream weeks 15, 16, and 17 to get to your title?
I think at least the last 2 weeks I had Joe Flacco.
And then you
had Jordan Love in there. Yeah, I would have put Derek Carr in it. But I picked up Browning I had in there too.
Jake Browning.
Yeah, I just picked up.
But that you didn't have him week 15, 16, or 17. You went Love, Carr, Flacco. Right?
I did Flacco. I think it was
Carr, Flacco.
Yeah.
Carr, Flacco.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that was
she
15,
dropped me
16,
off one
17.
day with Derek Carr.
Yeah.
Dropped me off on the side of the road.
Well, that's awesome.
Was very impressive.
I won with Russell Wilson,
Ooh.
Wow.
Joe Flacco, and Baker Mayfield.
Baker
in 15,
is
16, 17.
In the finals, Baker.
Yeah, because I sat Flacco because we talked about it on the show. 168 yards a game the Jets passing D gives up. So it was to sit Flacco all day long. Like no.
That was
fantasy.
our one bad call for the year.
It wasn't though. It was the right call, regardless. So then I'm sitting there on the golf course. I'm playing golf with Ebron on Sunday on the golf course in Greensboro, right?
Love Eric.
And I'm sitting there watching this shit, and Baker has 0.25 points.
Like halftime,
then he has negative 0.75 points. And then I get into a place on the golf course where the phone didn't work. I come back. Baker's got 23 and a half points. I'm like, shit, this is fantastic, right? And so it definitely helped. And streaming Baker didn't hurt as much because he got 26 and a half. Flacco got 33. So it didn't hurt me too much. I beat her by 20.
I was actually, Clint, I'll be honest, and Lauren, I'll be honest. I was honestly trying to play a little bit of reverse psychology on the show last week. I was really trying to talk down Joe Flacco. I just really listen. I'm from Cleveland. I love my Brownies, and I saw like Amari sat. So when Amari was called out, was ruled out like an hour and a half before the game, I was hoping Lauren was watching, and I was thinking, all right, Amari Cooper's out. I can't start Flacco.
I did change him, and then to be non-biased, I reached out to another friend that isn't involved with the show, King Ole, and we talked, and I was like, convince me that I need like I'm crazy. He's yeah, dude. So that I put him back in like 20 minutes before.
Yeah.
Well, what was getting me about it, and so the problem that I had two things. I had two things going for me, going against me, choosing between Flacco and Mayfield. So the last time Baker played New Orleans, it was at New Orleans. He went for 296 and 3. Right, he had 29 fantasy points. Fantastic, right? So then Flacco playing against the Jets, right? I know, and he throws the ball 40 to 45 times a game, right? So it's like have to, right? Exactly. That's exactly why you do start him. However, it could have easily been like he went for like 17 for 37 for $170 and a touchdown.
Yeah,
and 2 picks. It could have easily been.
They see, but the thing is that everybody talks about how great the Jets' defense is, and they are an elite defense. But Cleveland is just as elite, which means
I get it.
Jets' offense is wretched. The Cleveland Browns are going to get so many opportunities. That was strictly why I was really trying to subliminally convince Lauren to not start Joe Flacco. Yeah. And I was hoping, and she didn't bite. And she's
Jordan loved it done either way, but like Jordan loved it great. I don't know. There's a part of me that like he's been in Baltimore for a long time. I've talked a lot of shit about him. I was like, let's do this, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, look, you gotta go with your gut too. At the end of the day, you go with your gut, and you were going back and forth with us on our group chat on Sunday. Trying to figure out if we should play him or not. Yeah,
Lauren was. Were you talking on the other group chat when I was removed?
No, pretty sure.
No, probably because I didn't want it to be like I was trying to be not. I did. No, I think that might have been somebody else was talking. It was Jeff talking about Flacco.
Okay, maybe it was Fern talking about him.
Everyone but Joe Flacco.
Well, let's hope that Ferg gets back with us. We'll go to Ian next because Ian's got 4 more rings that he added to the trophy. This year to the trophy case this year. So Ian, tell us about some of your pick a team, any team.
Well, I have 3 main home leagues. Came in 5th place, 2nd place, and 2nd place. Totally shit the bed in the show league. Was terrible. Would have beaten everybody. Yeah, would have beaten everybody in the show league playoff league this week. I was the highest scorer, so that was painful. I think my favorite. So I had 2 favorite leagues that I won. One of them, that I lost. One I was 14-0, and one just ransacked the entire season.
Are you playing with teenagers?
No, I don't play with teenagers now. And just got slaughtered. It just got
That's
just off-switched.
So you felt like the Patriots did in what was it 08?
Yeah, 18.
And then
I had
another
a 13-1 team that lost by 150 points.
Jeez.
I had a
Championship
13-1 league team that my wife beat me.
Oh my.
He
But in the
mauled
championship,
me also. It was really bad. But I have this one team. The team name is turning garbage into gold. And it's a saying by a guy named Mark Zumoff, who used to be the 76ers, Philadelphia 76ers play-by-play announcers. He's really like a legend in this area. And that's one of his sayings. You know, when you have a rebound and you make a great play, turning garbage into gold. And I've been using this team name for probably 9 years. And finally won a league with that team name, which was personally very satisfying. So
Okay.
that's probably my
personal
favorite
dub.
one. Yeah,
Personal dub. Okay.
probably my favorite one this year. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Ferg, how about you, man? How many of you were in? We have already counted them. How many did you win? We knew you were in. Was it 23 finals?
123 starts, 23 finals, a lot of disappointment from.
Yeah.
All right, let's rewind to something we talk about all the time about playing your studs, even though you know better. And it upsets me so bad that the guys that we kind of look up to, the footballers guys, spent 15 minutes talking about Stephon Diggs just like we did last week. And I even text you guys, I was like,
Yep.
play Diggs. They're like, run Diggs. You gotta run Diggs. God, he is ass awful.
Well, who would you have replaced him with? I'm just curious. Like, who would have been his?
I had options of, let's see, I probably got to go back and look, but I know in the one league I could have just started Jacoby Myers over Diggs in out of one, or the one I sent to you where I lost by like a half a point. Scored 155 points and lost by half a point because T. Higgins scored 5 points.
Okay, so I want to bring up something on the Diggs.
How many leagues did you win?
So in the end, I think I ended up winning 9.
Okay.
And I guess I finished, so that means I finished second and all the rest. And then I had a couple that came for thirds that went out there. So I did not. Me and Merle have this conversation. I did not break even based on what we put into this experiment.
Right.
But I mean, I got a decent back. I would say in order to run this experiment, I probably spent about $1,800. And I think I got back like 17 and some change.
All right. Well, so you broke even essentially.
You broke even.
You broke even.
I didn't win.
I mean, you're not going to Sizzler, but you broke even.
Yeah.
So I want to bring up something on the Diggs thing since we're talking about this, and this is going to lead into another conversation before we get EJ on in a couple of minutes. So from week 10 on, right? So before week 10, Stephon Diggs was the wide receiver 3. Okay.
3.
Now, from week 10 on, and this is after the OC change, from what I understand, he was wide receiver. Anybody got a guess?
Like 26?
55.
See, Ferg knows. He was wide receiver 55.
55.
Yeah, he's not had like a.
But he still finished as wide receiver 9 on the
Right,
season.
but Greg Dortch was wide receiver, 54?
Quentin Johnson finished
ahead of
Dude, you could not make me take off the waiver wire because I was loyal to our creed about start your studs.
Starting your studs. All right, so this is going to lead into this conversation. So we're going to talk about the top 5 at each position, and I want you guys to add your opinions. We're going to go category-wise, position-wise.
Okay.
From week 15 to week 17 for the fantasy playoffs.
Oh, okay. Wow, okay.
So we're going to start with quarterback. All right. So number 1 with a bullet was Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson.
Oh, Lamar.
At 31 points a game from weeks 15 to 17. 31 points a game. All right. So number 2, one of Lauren's boys.
Justin Fields.
Nope.
No.
Jordan Love.
Oh, okay.
Right? So Jordan Love, 28 points a game in the last 3 games. Now, number 3, any guesses? Since
I'm still going with Flacco.
Josh Allen.
Nope.
Josh Allen.
Baker Mayfield.
Oh, yeah.
Baker Mayfield averaged 27 points a game.
What did Baker end up with Sunday? Because he had
he had 26 and a half. 26 and a half.
He had 25 in the second half?
Yep. That helped me beat Kiasha. All right. So number 4, like Lauren, another one of Lauren's boys, we got Joe Flacco at 26 and a half points a game. Okay. And one of those games without Amari Cooper. One of those without Amari Cooper. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
it's him and Njoku. Like I actually
Njoku's the man.
We'll talk about him in a few minutes.
I had a huge DFS. I came in 13th out of 30,000.
That's
and top prize was
amazing.
10 G's, and I was like, I ended up walking like 101. But I had Juwan Johnson, Isaiah Likely, like David Njoku. Those tight ends are awesome.
We'll talk about some of those names in a bit. So number 5, and this was the one that makes you laugh, probably the most of any of these. Number 5 with 26 points a game, week 15, 16, and 17 is Derek Carr.
Not surprising.
So let's
It's not.
recap. What we started the show with was me and Lauren winning titles by streaming quarterbacks. 4 out of the 5 of these are streaming quarterbacks.
Trash.
Okay, now that being said, that being said, Jordan Love is the number 8 quarterback on the year. He just happens to be the number 2 quarterback during the fantasy playoffs. Okay, all right. So going on to running back at a half-point PPR.
Number 1's my boy. I feel it.
Who?
My guy, Breece fucking Hall.
Oh hell no! It's CMC. Don't even.
CMC got to be the number 1 overall.
He has like a week in there too. I thought.
See, it doesn't. So CMC
even on his bad week,
he was out last week. He had 10.5 last week or something like that, right?
Bad.
And then he averaged 24.5 points a game.
All right.
Okay. All right. So now the next, still not your boy is
Gibbs.
Yeah.
Really?
At 22.5 points a game. All right.
Still going
Gibbs.
Gibbs.
Gibbs name ever again.
All right. So number 3 is Breece. He comes in at 20.5 points per game. All right. In the last 3 weeks of the playoffs. All right. So number 4, and this is the most surprising, probably
James
the most
Conner.
surprising out of all
James
this.
Conner.
James Conner.
It is James Conner because he had the hardest schedule to play against.
Yeah.
He had the hardest schedule to play against for a running back, and still it is coming in at 20.6 points per game. Okay. Now, number 5, that's Jahmyr Gibbs. And so Jahmyr Gibbs averaged 19.5 points a game in the last 3
Montgomery
weeks.
there.
Right.
No,
but he went like 10, 30, and then like 10 or something like that. Something like that. Right?
Does it say who's
I'll
last place?
I'll never play him again.
Say what?
Does it say last place or just says Tony Pollard?
No, it probably just says Tony Pollard.
Yeah.
He likes to avoid touchdowns. He avoids the end zone.
He's allergic.
He's the anti-touchdown. All right.
Yeah.
So then wide receiver.
I think last place had to be Eckler.
So these are going to be pretty easy. These wide receivers, at least the top 2. Right.
Mike Evans.
All right.
Amari Cooper has to be just because he missed week 3.
CeeDee Lamb is number 1.
Yeah.
At 23.7. Okay. Now, right behind him at 23.6 is Amari Cooper.
With a 0.
With a 0.
With a 0 in there.
Right. And then next is Amon-Ra at 21.9. All right. Number 4 and 5. I want you guys to think about this. Think about 15, 16, and 17. I would understand that if it wasn't like 6 catches for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns. I would understand.
I think one of them's got to be Mike Evans.
I would have thought so too because I had the Mike Evans, Baker Mayfield.
DJ Moore.
I love
DJ Moore. No,
he had no. He had that
Moore and Puka.
He had the first 15. He had like 3 points.
Brandon Ayuk.
Yep. Puka is number 5 at 17.8 points.
Ayuk or Debo, one of the 2.
So number 4 is at 19 points a game.
Darius Slayton.
Y'all are never gonna guess this. Oh, you probably would eventually, but not.
Demarcus Robinson.
DK.
George Pickens.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, he had
19 points a game.
Yeah, one good
Dude,
game.
he had last week. He had 20 points.
Yeah, he's good as long as what's his face?
I just can't buy him.
I know. No, you can't. Well, and part of that you can't buy him is that Mason Rudolph
is
his quarterback. Yeah. All right. So now tight end, which is the most interesting. Okay. Besides quarterback, the tight end is 1. Njoku is 1 at 16.4 points a game.
Kittle's probably 2 because he's
likely is probably 3 or 4.
So likely is 4 at 12 points a game. So Njoku 16.4. Likely at number 4 is at 12 points.
Laporta.
Trey McBride at 2.
McBride.
Hold on. Laporta is number 3 no. Laporta is number 2 with 15 points.
How about Kittle?
It's
Kittle's
not
not on the
McBride.
list.
I'm shocked.
Trey? No,
Nope.
not Trey.
Hmm.
Jeff
See,
Furley.
Who else do
I thought it would
Juwan
have been
Johnson.
Cole Kmet.
How about
Jawan
Kincaid.
Johnson is number 3.
He is.
Oh,
Cole Kmet
Jawan
had a
with
goose egg.
14.3
Cole
points
Kmet
per
went for
game.
0 in week 7, though.
Pitts?
Oh, Dallas Goddard.
Pitts had one nice game.
No.
Goddard had one good game.
All right, y'all are never going to guess this. Are you ready?
Durham
Dalton
Smythe.
Schultz?
I don't know.
Nope. Kraft.
Oh yeah.
I knew that.
10 points a
Tyler
game.
Kraft.
He's
I
a,
should've-
Tyler
good,
Kraft.
he's a good DFS play. I've used him
Yeah.
a bunch this year. Yeah, he's a good one.
Yeah.
Should have
So-
just tied all these picks to the quarterbacks you said.
Well, okay, so let's talk about the obvious here. So you got the ones that helped win championships. Obvious ones: Lamar, CMC, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and that's the
Byron.
end of the list. He was a free agent, dude. In most drafts, he was a free agent.
He was drafted.
So
in
you
all
had
my leagues.
1, 2, 3, 4. So you have 20 players right there, and 4 that were drafted to help you win titles.
Well, drafted high. I mean,
Well, okay, so you put 5 in there with Amari Cooper. So number 5, you'll put Amari Cooper.
A lot of street. I mean, the injuries. That's definitely a lot. So you can't
Yeah.
say that it's
I
just a
can't-
draft. Like you have to
can't s-
waiver
yeah.
wire.
I can't say that Kyron. I mean, if you're like drafting like an 8-player team
No.
and that's with no bench, Kyron Williams was drafted in every single league. He was drafted in the 20th round, but he was drafted.
He was
I
not
picked him up
drafted
off the
in.
waivers in our show league though, and I
Yeah, he
would've been
picked him up.
trying-
Hoofnagel was off of
Yeah.
waivers.
Yeah, he was.
Lucky
was
13
drafted
was
all
off
the
of
time.
waivers. The show league was off of waivers.
Yeah.
The
Y'all don't
ESPN
know
league
how
I'm
to
in was
draft.
off of waivers. No, dude, it's just it was not him
He
coming
was
into the
drafted
year.
in all my
Because I think
leagues.
at
He
the
was a
time we
fu-
might
he
have
was a
thought
fifth
Cam
round.
Akers. We thought Cam Akers was their starter.
He was the 5th round. Cam Akers was their
Yeah,
starter.
so-
he was a 5th round draft pick. Anyway, all right. So now, before EJ gets on, actually, you know what? The real football stuff may be a good topic for EJ. So let me ask y'all the question that I need to ask y'all about my Hoofnagel league for next year. All right. So when Ferg comes in here, we'll update him. So we have one keeper this year. This is the first time we've had a keeper in a very long time. Okay. And you lose the round that you pick people in.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So,
So
my
there's no penalty.
options. No, there is a penalty. You lose the round you picked them in.
Typically,
Right,
a penalty
so-
is if you keep somebody in round 4 that you drafted in round 4, you lose the pick 2 rounds earlier. That's a typical
Oh
draft penalty.
no! We're not. No, we do it with if you keep your number 1 draft pick, then so Justin, who won the league, will keep CMC. He'll lose his first round pick. Okay, so my first round pick was Derrick Henry, not picking him.
Yeah.
My second round pick was Cooper Kupp, not touching him.
Mm-mm.
My third round pick was Mark Andrews, not touching him. But by the way, I had the 12th pick, so I had the snake. And so my next pick was Lamar Jackson. So he's 4th round Lamar,
That's kind of
Okay.
Is it
Right,
a one
so-
quarterback league?
1 quarterback league.
Yeah.
So it's
Um,
fourth round Lamar. So keep
makes
that in
sense.
mind. So 4th round Lamar, right? So 7th round Mike Evans.
Oof.
Okay. Or I can go last round because it's a free agent pickup with Sam Laporta.
How
Oh,
many-
Laporta.
Here's
Oh,
what
Laporta,
my
hands
question is:
down.
how many people are going to keep quarterbacks? Because if not a
I
lot,
don't know. Ferg.
If it's a one quarterback
Sure.
league,
Yeah.
you're not
Do you-
keeping a quarterback.
Merrill, I wish he was here to talk about this. Merrill was the first one to draft a quarterback in Hoofnagel because we're talking about the Hoofnagel keepers.
In what
We
round?
have to keep one.
In what
He
round?
took Jalen Hurts in the first round.
yeah.
He did
That's
take him in the
bad
first
pick.
round.
So he will not be keeping Jalen Hurts. I can
Nope.
pretty much guarantee you he
Nope.
will not be keeping Jalen Hurts. So how many people do you think are keeping quarterbacks in Hoofnagel? Ferg?
In a one quarterback league, not many.
Ferg is keeping Tyreek, I'm sure.
Because then, I mean, if you could get Lamar,
he's
that's the
frozen.
only thing.
Right. Can you get Lamar in the 4th round? Can you get Mike Evans in the 7th round? Can you get Sam Laporta? So Sam Laporta will be tied in, 4 next year, 3 or 4, like drafting wise.
As
right?
a last round pick, that's a no brainer. That's an
Right, so that's what-
absolute no brainer.
In a half-point PPR, that's what I was thinking. And so,
Absolutely.
but the
I like
argument,
Evans.
right, the argument for Mike Evans is if Mike Evans signs back with the Bucs like he wants to, and if they re-sign Baker Mayfield like they should, then they have that chemistry together for a 7th round Mike for a number one, because Mike Evans helped me get a fantasy title, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was definitely like,
Yeah.
when I made that trade beginning of the season, it was also for Mike Evans, and that was like a huge difference. But
Yeah.
I think because you're going to take Mike Evans next year based off of this year. People are going to take him in like the second, third, fourth round, and you'll be getting him in the 7th. Like that's a you've got a wide receiver one in the later rounds.
Listen, given the 3 best options of Lamar at 4, Evans at 7, and Laporta as a free agent, so a last round pick.
Right.
Laporta is an absolute no-brainer.
I could keep Jackson Smith and Jigba for the 9th round pick, but I think that's not worth it with
that's
Laporta.
Not worth anything. Laporta, for me, Laporta has to be the picks, especially because the tight end is such a barren wasteland. You've got a young one on a highly explosive offensive team.
Yep.
I definitely see that. David Montgomery shouldn't be back there, so that's going to open up more targets, more volume share. I would do Jackson over Mike Evans. There are so many wide receivers.
I know, but there's not many Mike Evanses.
Yeah, there are.
So we're talking about Hoofnagel and my options, but you're not, because we have to have a keeper in very soon.
You have to have a keeper.
And so what we're talking about is my options are Lamar at number 4, Mike Evans at round 7, or Laporta free agent, so I lose the last round pick. Right? And so Laporta ended with fantasy wise 191.25 points. Right? And Mike Evans ended up with 224.5. So it was a 29 point difference. No, I mean,
don't get sucked into this year.
33 point difference.
Next year is an all new year.
Honestly, I think my 2 wideouts, I have
Tyreek
and I have Tyreek.
Yeah,
I'll keep whichever one of them has the lowest draft pick and let the other one go.
That would be, you took
Who are
Tyreek
the choices?
first.
Tyreek or
Tyreek and Amon-Ra. He'll lose his 2nd round pick for Amon-Ra.
2nd round for Amon-Ra, and what for Tyreek?
Number 1. He picked him first.
Number 1 for Tyreek.
I would keep Amon-Ra.
Yeah,
that's
a
no-brainer.
in a second, because I feel like I shit it, so I should still have a high draft pick. So
right, you should still have exactly. You can still get
get Tyreek back. Might get Tyreek
back.
Right,
yeah.
But see, then the opposite thought process is you can keep Tyreek, and you can get Amon-Ra back. Right, so that's that's the opposite thought process.
I don't know that.
I don't know why would
pick it in the 2nd round, depending on who the other keepers.
Well, that's true. Like, because you could be at you could get the number 2 or number 3 pick, and then you could end up getting not Amon-Ra. You'd be sitting there with Amari Cooper and Deshaun Watson.
Never again will I allow that to happen. I let that happen.
You think he's even going to be playing next year? I feel like.
Look, you know what his dead cap is? His dead cap is $200 million, Lauren. They can't trade him because nobody's going to pay him. No, nobody. He's not going anywhere. Joe Flacco may play, but they can't afford to keep Flacco either. So because of Deshaun's contract,
I just went back and looked at the Hoofnagel draft. I actually took Amon-Ra in the 3rd, so he's
okay. So then you get Amon-Ra in the 3rd.
He's definitely the keeper. Yeah, he's definitely the keeper.
Yeah, I think so too. So
yes.
Let's see. He said, so EJ just texted me. He said, bro, my food took forever cooking. Let me eat real quick. Give me a second. It shouldn't take long.
You don't need nothing to
eat. Right.
All right. Then I have a completely off the wall question for you.
Let's go. Let's go.
All right. So I was talking to Samantha a couple of days ago, and I was talking about the Saints. And I don't know. I was talking about the Super Bowl when they played Peyton Manning, and that when we came back after the half and they kicked the onside kick. And I'm telling the story, and I have chills and like tears and like all this stuff. So every time I tell that one, and if I tell the Gleason punt story, it's the same thing. I get super emotional. Mm-hmm. What is the play for you guys that makes you like that?
Okay. Can I go first?
Yes.
Since I'm going to talk about something that's not supposed to be talked about on this show. I was in New Orleans when Caleb Love hit that shot over Mark Williams to beat Duke in the Final Four and Coach K's last game. It was one of the most surreal experiences I've ever had in my life. So it was fucking phenomenal. I'm going to put that right up there. It's actually topped it, but the first time I ever went to Wrigley Field would be on the top of that list.
Wrigley Field's beautiful. Yeah.
I'm a diehard Cubs guy. My first game at Wrigley was Cardinals Cubs when Pujols was still playing left field.
That's awesome.
I mean, it was a hot minute ago. All right, so then Ian, since Ferg left, he's had internet issues.
I would say one of my most favorite moments is I was still young. I was still in my early 20s. I think it was 95. And the Indians were playing the Braves in
Albert Bell
in the World Series. Yeah, that was a great team in 95. And I got to go to two of the World Series games.
That's amazing.
Oh wow!
95 to the Indians and the Braves. And I mean, we lost. It is what it is. But
well, you know, Ian,
to be there.
It's the first time that I had ever been to a baseball playoff game. I think I was 20, 21, 22.
Man,
I was young. I was just out of college.
That's
so let me tell you,
really
man, that the only reason the Cubs Indians Game 7 is not at the top of my list is because I was in New Orleans. If I was in Cleveland, it wouldn't even be close. Dude, when the Cubs won the World Series, I cried like a baby.
I was going to say, that was a pretty – I mean, I respect the Cubs. And diehard Trojan fan, Eddie Vedder and the Cubs. And I think I cried.
Bill Murray. Look, I called my mom. I woke up my kid. Oh, no, it was – that's something that – somebody that's been 100 and some odd years old and never seen.
Yeah.
Listen, the Indians played in 2 World Series in 4 years. We lost to the Braves, and then we lost to the Marlins in '97.
So, dude, let me tell you.
But I'll also say I wasn't there. I had nothing to do with it. But '99. In that first game back in Cleveland, you know, we had Tim Couch and the Browns were back. It was Brownies are back. We sucked. We were terrible, but it didn't matter because football was back in Cleveland.
Yeah.
That's what mattered.
You know, man, I wanted to say something that you'll appreciate. Ferg looks like he changed locations. So let me say something you'll appreciate, Ian. My first baseball in-person memory, I went to a Baltimore Orioles game. They were playing the Yankees, and it was Roger Clemens pitching against Mike Mussina, right? So as a baseball guy, it was dope.
Oh, wow.
So, but let me tell you this. Glenn Allen Hill hit a home run that game that still has not landed to this day.
I forgot.
That's a big, strong motherfucker. You're right. Albert Bell and Glenn Allen Hill on that same Indians team was unfucking believable how steroided up they were.
Yeah.
All right. So, Ferg, real quick while we're waiting on EJ, Lauren asked, what is your favorite sports memory that gives you chills? To talk about. EJ said 10 minutes.
Okay, I got I'll say the '93 North Carolina championship.
Boy, yeah.
Because I was a Carolina fan like in high school. But you know, once you go to college, you start meeting all these other like-minded people. Yeah. So I had never really been around a lot of Carolina fans before until college. And I just remember like 50 of us being in one dorm room watching this one little TV because it was on TV for the table.
That's the Rasheed Wallace and that team, right?
No. They never won a title. Let's not talk about that. This is Montross.
This is the Weber.
Montross. Yes. Yeah.
Montross. And I just remember
Montross, George Lynch, Derek Phillips.
It was pouring down rain outside, but somebody lit a Michigan sweatshirt on fire. And we just went running all over the campus, just cheering as if we went to Chapel Hill. I said that's just a memory. I mean, I have some bad memories. Like I literally cried when Marcus Page hit that shot and then we lost.
Shut up! Villanova. Can we not? I knew you were going to talk about that. Can we not?
Can we
I'm
talk
still
about
not ready.
Villanova?
I'm still not ready. No,
that was a really strong memory.
I'm still not ready. Exactly. Take a shot. I'm not ready to talk about that.
Shot for Villanova.
Yeah, no, and I get that. Meryl, the Glenn Allen Hill reference, man. You should. You know, he was the man.
What's up,
so Lauren, since you asked the question, what is yours?
Oh, it's the Super Bowl. It's that onside kick. It's that just because we had 5 feet of snow in Maryland. Saints had never won a Super Bowl. Emotions are high, Katrina, and it was when they came out and they did that onside kick. Like, I couldn't believe, because you don't do that at half. Like, they come on and they did it in Peyton's face. The look on his face when he had to stay on the bench. That was like, see, there the chills go now. Like, I get emotional talking about that. And then also, it'll always be Steve Gleason's punt. I feel like any of us.
I was gonna say, I thought you would go Gleason, because even the Gleason thing, I'm not even a New Orleans fan, but I clearly remember that, like, every second of that play, like, holy shit.
Jersey number on right now.
Like, that was fucking crazy in here.
Because that was, I wasn't in New Orleans for Katrina, but I've done a lot of, like, reading and whatnot, and just, there's a lot of stuff I feel like the news didn't capture about that event. So to understand the emotion, and when he went out and did that, like, I've never seen a documentary where the men telling the story don't cry. Like, that was
I got one other, and I'm not a Panthers fan, but I went to the Panthers-Cowboys playoff game in Charlotte with my father, and when the Panthers won, that was the loudest I have ever heard anything ever in life. Like, we were sitting in the box, and the windows were shaking on the box, and people just cheered for like 15 straight minutes. Nobody left.
That was Cam Newton's team
in 15.
No, was that Jake Delhomme?
This is the Delhomme team. That's Delhomme.
So you're talking about Jake Delhomme, Steve Smith. Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I would have liked to have been at? I had a cousin. This is an awful story. So when the Bills and the Titans played each other, the Music City Miracle.
Oh my gosh! Frank Wycheck and all them.
He left
that was a forward
before
pass.
that kickoff. He left to go use the bathroom.
That was not a forward pass.
He was like, "We lost. It's over." He said it sounded like an airplane rushed over the bathroom, and he just heard this crazy. He runs out, and he's like, "What?" Yeah, he missed the Music Miracle.
You were there and missed it?
He was.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
What do you do? That's like going to the Carolina Duke game and missing that shot. Like, I just don't understand.
It was an example of why his life sucks when he told me this story. But he's like, he heard it from the bathroom. He said it's insane. It sounded like an airplane.
So Merrill was Eli Manning to Mario Manningham. Okay,
that was a great throw. That's Eli's best throw ever.
Oh yeah,
I can't believe Tyree the Tyree catch.
Do you know? I'll give one for the commission. This is how long I have known Merle. We were at my house in elementary school or middle school when when Buffalo missed the kick in the Super Bowl for the Giants to win the Super Bowl. We were there. We watched that game together. We had to be 11 years old, 12 years old, maybe.
Man.
No, I was 17. So you're a year younger than me. So you were 16.
Was it that
year? 1990. Yeah, it's 1990.
Is that 90?
It was January of 91. Yeah.
I was only 14 years old then.
I thought you were a year younger than me.
I graduated. I went to when I was a senior in high school. I was still 16 years old. I graduated from high school in 1992. So I'm just younger than the most of my class. That's what it is.
All right.
Okay. Well, so Ferg, what you missed before you joined us back, mine was being in New Orleans for Caleb and us sending Duke to the house with Coach K to retire.
Well, I knew you. I knew you. I wouldn't have guessed anything different.
I know. Well, again, a very close second is the Cubs winning the World Series. It's just I wasn't there. But I was in New Orleans. I just wasn't in Cleveland.
I can't think of a better city the drinking doesn't stop. It's 24/7.
It did not stop, I assure you.
Every bar.
Have you been to a game where your team won a championship? I'm trying to think if I've ever been to a game where any team that I support other than high school won a championship.
I have.
I was at the Royal Rumble when Macho Man Savage won the whole thing. And
that does not count.
I was at in.
No, Ferg, I have not.
No, I wasn't.
I have not. Carolina, Chicago, I am out. No, I have not.
Cleveland has never won anything except for one championship with LeBron in my life. So I've seen nothing. Damn, Jeff just does not want to be here.
Look,
What up? Hello,
EJ,
people.
what up,
What's
homie?
going
Oh,
on,
look,
man?
so
What's going
apparently
on, bud?
Ferg let you in and dipped himself. So
You
everybody,
I was
welcome.
making
like,
rules.
damn,
I
did
was
I
cleaning off the table so he would have somewhere to sit.
I
So
didn't think I offended anybody bad enough for
No,
that one.
so
The
look.
last time, man, you just dipped out on your boy, man.
So everybody,
Hey.
welcome back, a friend of the show, Mr. EJ Wilson.
What's up, EJ?
Former
What's going
NFL
on?
lineman. EJ, we wanted to talk to you about a few things, but first and foremost, how did you do some fantasy since the championships are over? And how have you been?
The head shake of terrible.
I
Yeah.
was first place in every one of my leagues.
How many leagues? First of all, how
three
many
leagues? Three
Okay.
leagues.
So you're on the bottom here.
My work league, I forgot to take Keenan Allen out and lost my bye, and then lost in the first round of the playoffs. But that person went on to win the championship. So I lost in my money league, I lost in the trophy league, and I lost in the work league. So
Lost all three of them.
It's
I have
the
no street
trifecta.
Street cred.
Man, street cred is gone. So who let you down, EJ?
I let me down. It was all mismanagement.
User error.
You're
Got it.
starting
You can
Keenan.
blame
You left
Stephon
pointed the
Diggs.
thumb at myself.
We're good with you blaming Stephon Diggs because I am.
We're all blaming Steph.
In all seriousness, like in one, I'm trying to think who. It honestly was Keenan Allen not playing those 2 weeks that really
sure, I
kind
can
of let
do
me
that.
down. Seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
then
can
when
dig
Justin
that.
Herbert got hurt, well, that didn't really make a difference because I was able to pick up Jake Brown and that worked
There
out.
you go.
See, that's what we were talking
Streaming.
about
It's all
earlier.
about streaming.
So EJ, just a quick stat for you real quick. The top 5 fantasy quarterbacks week 15, 16, and 17. So during the fantasy playoffs, you have Lamar Jackson at number 1, Jordan Love at number 2, Baker Mayfield at number 3, Joe Flacco at number 4, and Derek Carr at number 5. So it's like 4 out of the 5 streaming quarterbacks are what won people their fantasy leagues, along with most people Christian McCaffrey or Kyron Williams.
Derek Carr.
Right, exactly. So
Yeah,
I won streaming Baker Mayfield. So I mean, it's just how it works out sometimes, right? So
I picked up Flacco and it worked out. Flacco produced, but I mean, at the end of the day,
Yes,
it didn't
he
really
sure
matter.
Yeah, no, but he definitely produced. And EJ, I have a question right out the gate that I want to ask you, man, about some football, like regular
Real
football, real football. What do you think?
Fantasy's real.
we were talking about it before the show. How do you feel about the start-sit decision? Let's go particularly with Lamar, right? So the Baltimore Ravens locked up the AFC East North title. And they're home for the whole playoffs, right? So they're not playing Lamar. So that means not only is Lamar not playing this week, but he's also not playing next week because they have the bye. So it's going to be 2 full weeks before he plays again.
19 days between football.
So almost 3 weeks. And Ferg has some concerns.
Let me just real quick add to that too. Living in Baltimore, the Ravens fans around here are terrified because they do better when they're like wild card and they have to go in and earn it. Like the time off is like scaring all the fans around here.
Yeah, I get that. So EJ, what do you think as you've been in those locker rooms, you've heard those conversations. What does that sound like?
I mean, I think it's going to be fine. I mean, at the end of the day, it's Lamar Jackson, and is the defense of the Baltimore Ravens still going to be playing in those games? Because as long as they're playing in those games, but no, I'm saying it's like for defense, resting only helps, and that's what I'm saying. Like as good as Lamar Jackson is, and as good as that offense has been this year, that they're still a defense. They're a defensive organization, not just team. Right. They're a defensive organization. The years where they've been at their best, even Lamar when Lamar won MVP. Yeah, exactly.
He's going to win MVP this year too.
Is there any truth to that whole if you take a week off, you're is there any truth to that? Because you have bye weeks and then teams come back and they're just as strong. I don't know if that's like an old football wives tale or not, but is there actually anything to that?
It's a little bit. It's a little bit different when it's the playoffs when you're the number 1 seed because you're sitting back reading your own headlines. It's not like a bye week where you're like in the middle of the fight. Where let's say if you're on a 2-game skid going into the bye week, like you're focused and you're zoned in on that bye week. But if you're the Baltimore Ravens and you're going into this and you're sitting players this week who already know they have the number 1 seed, who already know they have the fast track to the Super Bowl, and that all their games will be played at home. I mean. It's only human nature to kind of pat yourself on the back. So, but knowing the character of them, knowing that they're going to have a 2-time MVP leading them in the playoffs, I don't think that, and just knowing the organization, like we were just talking to, their identity is toughness. They're the only. I'll say them and the Steelers are probably the only teams in the NFL that have like college type reputations, like what the programs are known for. Like that, it's been consistent throughout, and they've been great. And it's just something about that division. So I don't think that organization is set up to where they're gonna where their time off is gonna hurt them. It's only gonna help them. They're gonna be nice and rested up, and Lamar is gonna have a chance to really focus in and watch all these other teams play. He's gonna have real time scouting, like real time seeing this. Like
I would love it.
I don't like it.
I picked
Yeah.
MVP this year,
I don't
like weeks ago, so I would love for that to happen also. But yeah, I mean, it's always exciting to have the Super Bowl in the town you live in, like when you got the team. So I'm excited for them. I'm happy.
Where's the Super Bowl this year?
It's in Vegas.
Oh, it's
Not
in
gonna
Vegas.
happen.
It's just like the home
Not
team,
gonna-
because the whole city
gonna happen.
is purple right now. It's just gonna get worse.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it came across the bottom line that actually Flacco is sitting, not starting.
Oh,
So
really?
they're not playing him either.
I got you.
Right.
I agree with I don't know if you saw Merle's comment earlier, but Baltimore's
I
worst
mean-
nightmare is that Buffalo beats us this weekend, and then they have to see Buffalo in the
I
first
feel
round
like
playoff game.
I
That will be
had
Baltimore's worst nightmare.
I mean,
don't
we had
think
this, we had this
Why?
discussion a little bit earlier, even before EJ came on. Was we were talking about like what kind of players can sit, what kind of players shouldn't sit, and I was saying like I would have no problem with a player like Lamar sitting because Lamar is the man. Versus, like, I don't think Joe Flacco should be taking this week off. He's only been there for 4 weeks.
Right.
A
We
player
talked
like,
about this, right?
like Matthew Stafford, even like this year alone, he should not be taking this week off. They need to keep that momentum rolling. Patrick Mahomes, like, they're not the same old Chiefs, but he's still Pat.
They're
Like,
locked into a 3 seed, though.
Right.
Nothing matters.
I would be cool with Pat taking the week off. Well, maybe not because he really needs to get with his receivers. But a player like Lamar, take the 2 weeks off, get healthy. I personally, I don't think it matters who Baltimore plays. They can take Buffalo at home, and I think this year they just throttle. I think Buffalo is or Baltimore is just really they're just in a league of their own right now. I feel that.
I mean,
well, Baltimore is them in San Francisco, but then again we saw that matchup.
That was
apply real world logic to these things, and I think about have you ever been off work for a week? Like, I don't know what kind of work you exactly do, but you ever been off work for a week, come back and be like, I don't really want to be
not really into it.
Have you ever been on like short-term disability or something for like 2-3 weeks and then come back like, how do we do this again?
But these people are making millions of dollars. There's a different level of motivation.
But it's like
right,
you say, like I
Which
kind of equate it
actually,
to what you say earlier though. I'm making millions of dollars, but in the end, I'm still 20 to 27, reading my own headlines, watching Instagram, watching everybody on SportsCenter pick us. Then when somebody gets upset next week and be like, oh, now Baltimore gets the 7th seed at home. That's a guarantee. Baltimore, whoever AFC, and then they come in there and get the dog walked on them next Sunday because in the end, you are what your record says you are, and Lamar is 1-3 in the playoffs.
Okay, so do me a favor. Bring that comment up that Merrill said about Lamar needs to win the Super Bowl or get to the Super Bowl. Bring that up real quick because I want to talk about this. So what if? So Lamar, I think it's like negative minus 6,000 that he's going to win MVP.
Minus
20,000 that he's going to win MVP. So it's like, if Lamar wins MVP, why does he have to win or get to the Super Bowl? Is that because of his contract stuff at the beginning of the year, him representing himself? Like, what is that about?
Because you'll hate Lamar. People hate Lamar.
No, it's the same. It's the same Super Bowl stigma that the players from the quote unquote olden days, our days, the Dan Marinos and the Dan Fouts, and the players that were elite superstar players in their time, never made a Super Bowl, never won a Super Bowl, and are just not viewed in that superstar Joe Montana, Tom Brady. I'm not even going to say like Ben Roethlisberger because he doesn't belong there. But those types of players, no, Those type of players that there have been people that, you know, if when you make your Mount Rushmore of all-time quarterbacks, Tom Brady's always on it. Joe Montana is always on it. Johnny Unitas is always on it. As well they should be, but there's a lot of people that would not put Dan Marino on your Mount Rushmore because he doesn't have a ring. And I think it's really the same thing with Lamar.
We can't talk about that with Ferg on this show.
He is an all-time talent. There's no question. He will have his clunkers and his dunkers and his suck games, but he's an all-time talent. But for right or wrong, he will not be considered among the Mount Rushmore unless he has a ring.
EJ, let me ask you your thoughts on that. Well, hold on. Let EJ, because I've heard that Derek Carr, like, his big thing is the Super Bowl. Like, I'm sure he's happy, he's got the money, whatever, but the man, he wants a championship so badly. What is, like, is it pretty typical? Like, do all of you think, like, I want the ring? Or are there guys that just are happy to be there? Like, what is that, man? What is the feeling?
I can only speak for me personally, and honestly, I wasn't. You have to develop that true want for a Super Bowl. You have to. There's no true security in the NFL to really want to be able to. That's like true. You can say you're focused on the team goal, but if you're the last man on the roster, like, and this is your livelihood, you're really focused on staying on the roster day to day. So I say most guys are really like now that's different versus the guy who's been in the league for 3 or 4 years, who knows that you may not be with this team next year, but you're going to be in the NFL. You're going to be like, exactly. Like, or a guy who comes in as a first or second round pick, of course, like a CJ Stroud. Of course, he's coming in and he's talking Super Bowl because he's going to be the guy there for the foreseeable future. So it all depends on where you're at in your career, honestly. So for me, it was more so focused on trying to stay alive. And I think for the veteran guys and the guys who were the higher paid guys, they were more concerned about winning Super Bowls. Where the problem comes in is when you have the guys who you're paying all the money who are still about self. So
we need EJ to come back next week because I feel like we only have, like, legitimately this evening we can only do up to 8:30. We only have a few minutes.
I legitimately have a question that I've been waiting to ask.
Hold on. To you guys every Wednesday is that we always keep it honest. And this is not the conversation that we had in August about Lamar. I do not want y'all to gloss over this conversation. We are not going to dismiss this Lamar thing. Talking about he needs to win a ring. You know why people hate Lamar. We need to talk about why people hate Lamar and stop glossing over the fact that this black dude asked for all of this fucking money in August. We got upset and worked about it.
Nothing to do with him being a black dude. It has to be with this dude. No.
This black quarterback had the nerve to ask for $250 million.
It's had nothing to do with me.
And now he actually proved that he should have got $250 million.
I didn't.
And we're upset.
I picked
the same people who were like
this episode.
No. I'm not saying us. I'm not saying
just in general, like the collective we.
I just want to make sure I say it so they remember when he gets it.
The same people who were like, this dude doesn't deserve money are the same people who are pushing the goalpost now to say he's not that great if he doesn't win a ring. Like, when does the goalpost stop moving for Lamar?
No.
Like, what does he have to do to be like, okay, he's that dude?
Yeah, he is that dude. My point back in August was I didn't think he or anybody else was worth a fully guaranteed contract. I don't think anybody is worth that. We went around and around on that. I think whether he's a white dude, whether he's a black dude, I don't think it matters. I think the perception in today's world is if you don't have that ring until you prove, Merrill said, it's Josh Allen.
Said Josh Allen too. Yep.
If you don't have that ring, you're perceived differently. Am I going to get to ask EJ the question I've been asking?
Yes. You know what? This is a perfect time. So EJ, let's set this up first, though. So Lauren had one of her very
this is
long
actually a question.
Friends.
Oh Jesus!
One of her oldest friends that she didn't know some stories about, that he went to high school at a military academy in West Virginia.
Valley Forge.
Larry Fitzgerald.
Valley Forge Military Academy.
Okay.
It's
and was friends with Larry Fitzgerald.
Phoenixville.
Now,
he doesn't know who Larry Fitzgerald is to this day. He doesn't watch football.
Doesn't know, right? And he started this conversation on the show, and we kind of had to steer very carefully about he never had any black friends until Larry Fitzgerald, and he was raised as a racist, right? So, dude was great. Dude had cool stories, right? had two stories. Like he said it, like he was like, "I'm just gonna be honest. This is not who I am now." Blah 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 blah. Right?
I respect that. I respect that the most.
Right? No, for sure. So on the piggyback of that, Ian wanted to ask you a question.
Well, it had nothing to do with that.
But
okay.
I just wanted to bring that story back up. You just wanted to bring that story back up.
Let me ask you about a black man who's had who's had an Achilles injury. I'm really curious about that. Your career pretty much ended, as I've read. When you ruptured your Achilles, I think it was in 2010,
11.
Tom Brady, I like
2010, 2011, and that pretty much ended things. But whether you were in the league or not, you had to go through a rehab. You had the surgery, you had to build it back up. So you know what that rehab is like. So I want to hear a little bit about what an Achilles rehab is like.
Ooh, that's
and
a good question.
how Aaron Rodgers is such a freak of nature that really in 14 weeks he was ready to come back and play.
It's J.K. Dobbins, yeah.
Like he was.
First of all, that's not the question you said you wanted to ask, but it's okay.
All right, before I start this answer, and I know how is this like? What's the rating on the show?
Oh, it doesn't matter. Just
we have no ratings.
Drinking fucking tequila at 8:55 on a Wednesday. You can.
I got whiskey in my hand, bro. So.
Ask Clint, man. I can get dark, man. No, but seriously, so.
We're all good.
So on the golf course.
I was able the Buccaneers, they completely like bungled like my stuff. They thought that my contract was up, so I didn't rehab with the team. I was rehabbing at a private facility. Like I really didn't really have a choice. So I was rehabbing not to be able to run and perform physical activity and be athletic. I was rehabbing to be able to walk. So it was a completely different process. Like so I still what happened was I did this. When I was medically cleared, they thought they meant I was medically cleared to actually run. So the first time I ever ran on my surgically repaired Achilles was when we came back for mini camp, and during the summer and everything. So the first time I'm jumping over hurdles and pulling sleds, and I ended up injuring it again. So I kind of had that sort of setback, and so but I ended up making it back to training camp that year in 2012. But for him,
is it weird that when you're a player for a team and you're under contract that you don't rehab with them? Is that unusual?
No, it's not unusual, especially not. And that's another thing I wanted to preface with. This was also 12 years ago when I did this. So a lot of the rules in the league have changed. The collective bargaining agreement has changed. So there are a lot more options, and the players have a lot more rights. And there are a lot more charges. It sounds weird in these days and times, but they're in a lot more control of their bodies, like than they used to be. Like they can say, "Do I want to rehab here?"
Right. I mean, it is weird to say, but I get, yeah.
They say that they can choose their own course of treatment. Tom Brady was the one that pioneered that with how he pushed back with this TB12 system and having his personal trainer so ingrained with the team that he was working out there and basically became a pseudo strength trainer. So, and honestly, for me, one thing that I didn't do that I think helped with my recovery was that I did not take opioid painkillers. I used natural herbal painkillers, and Aaron Rodgers is using natural herbal painkillers. That's the lifestyle that he lives. And I think I'm an exercise and sports science major. My mom's a nurse. I grew up around medicine my whole life, but it's like at the end of the day, I mean, the opioids are bad for you. They get you addicted. They constipate you. And if there are other things that can make you make the pain go away and make food taste better and movies get better, like why wouldn't you do that as opposed
to you get the official envelope for testing when you're on IR?
No.
Oh no.
Do they actually test for pot?
They test between they start testing on 420 and they end
the last 20.
You know why
420.
You know
why.
You know why 420.
You
I'm
know
just saying,
why.
why did the NFL adopt that date like the smoke?
So they can test it
So
anytime. Anytime from 420
so is
to
Aaron
the last
Rodgers really like a freak then?
Yeah, for
so
sure.
How about Aaron?
For sure.
Like
yeah,
this
for
is
sure.
this is unheard of.
I've never heard of no
when
shit like that before.
No.
When you were 3 months in, you weren't running. You weren't ready to play.
I was still in the walking booth.
Was he still in a booth or a
That's
cast?
craziness.
But they're all, like I
That's
said, the technique with the surgery has been improved so much. This is like, think about like from an ACL then to an ACL now. ACLs used to be career-ending injuries. Like an Achilles,
Still AP.
Exactly. And Achilles injuries were so rare back in the day. They're just starting now because of bigger, faster, stronger. People are making more explosive moves at much high rates, and much bigger people are doing it. Like Aaron Rodgers is a lot larger than he was when he came in the NFL, and he's a lot stronger than he was when he came in the NFL as well. So some of the Achilles tendons there, exactly, it's really like a freak accident. So I think the surgery and the technology was just basic to get them there. And now that it's been happening so frequently, I mean, the year I tore mine, I think there were 6 people who tore them in training camp. So it's like they had to pioneer this surgery. Like it's been a big push for them to like really improve that. So that's part of it too.
Well, Cam Akers,
Jets were in like the Steelers spot. Do we think Rodgers would have played? Do we really believe he would have played?
Yes. Yes.
Probably.
If they were still in it, he would have played. Yeah, I believe that.
Probably.
That's
probably.
Not just because they're the Jets and they were in the playoffs and they had a chance, but it's Aaron Rodgers and it's Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
I really believe
okay.
it. But I mean, the fact that he could come back in 14 weeks is
I need an ayahuasca dealer or whatever that. How you say it? Ayahuasca?
Yep.
Ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca.
I need an ayahuasca dealer.
No, dude.
Ayahuasca.
I'm gonna send you some stuff on that before you do it. I've heard some horror stories on podcasts.
Oh, I've also heard some really good stories.
I've heard both, and it's.
I've mostly heard horror stories about it. But
but EJ, don't lie. I was about to say, don't lie, EJ. We've talked about this.
Are you gonna say this makes the movie bad? It's gonna make the movie and the food bad.
EJ and I have had conversations about this, so this is
for sure. I would definitely try.
Like I've been wondering.
Anything that's gonna make the movie better, I want.
No, you ain't wrong. All right.
We talk about injuries a lot, and like it does seem like the injuries are getting more substantial and more frequent. And so I didn't know that if it was that or if it's the fake turf, like fake turf or what, because it's not.
Turf plays a part.
This many ACLs before.
I didn't even think of the idea that you could rehab on your own. To use I don't have a better word. I kind of feel like you were property of the team. So
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
You show up.
That's what's changed in the CBA.
Where we say to show up, you show up. The doctor here says, "Be here." You're here. I didn't even know you could just go out and do this on your own.
That's the stuff that the CBA changed that they don't talk about in like on ESPN and Sports Center, man. Like there's so many different things that these people can do. So,
but no. Like he dated some crazy people. Like he dated Olivia Wilde, who is batshit crazy. Like,
I mean, I'm not mad at Rodgers. Rodgers gets around like he got a Derek.
No, it's cool.
He got a Derek Jeter list. I'm not mad at him.
No. Nobody got around like Derek Jeter. So
Derek Jeter was Wilt Chamberlain of baseball.
Let me see what I tell you.
Rodgers was on he was on the second to last episode of Game of Thrones.
Oh no!
I did know that. I did know that.
I didn't notice that.
He's in for 2. You have to pause it, but he wanted to be involved so badly. He's one of the people that gets torched.
He's on the episode, I think, with Ed Sheeran, isn't it?
Ed Sheeran
on that episode.
Aaron Rodgers is for 2 seconds.
I've never seen any of them.
I've never seen any of the shows. So
same. All right. So real quick before we put a bow on it, I have to tell people in case people don't know this. I'm sure most of you guys do. Derek Jeter was that guy that he like one of his lady friends.
He's a whore.
Was sent home. Was taken home in a limousine, and inside this limousine was a care package, and the care package had a couple of different things, but also had a signed Derek Jeter baseball. So that is how you do that, apparently.
You know what? I think the best part of this whole show. I think the best part of this whole show was labeling Derek Jeter as the Wilt Chamberlain of basketball.
I think that's great.
Love that.
The only Derek Jeter story that I know to be confirmed, because I know somebody that knows somebody, is that Derek Jeter was throwing parties in the house that Tom Brady lived in when he was in Florida. And that you had to sign an NDA at the door, and they would take your phone like they did at court, put them in a plastic bag, seal them, and you would get the phone back when you left. That is a confirmed true story.
Was he co-hosting with Diddy?
How I know it's true, but I know that to be 100% true.
Oh,
I know it to be true.
Yeah, I'm sure he was on Island.
It's the Dave Chappelle. It's the Dave
That's
Chappelle
how
show.
you end up not on TMZ. That's how you stay off TMZ.
Right. You know what I mean? All right. So EJ, we'd love to have you back, man, and talk some more real football for the playoffs. If you're available next week. If not, we can maybe get you on in a few weeks. But love to talk some real playoff football. And not so much injuries next time.
I wanted to know that.
Yeah, and just talk some general football. So let's get some last thoughts. EJ, we'll start with you, man. Any last thoughts going into the playoffs this week? Real playoffs. We don't recognize Week 18 fantasy playoff teams.
Yeah, that's fake.
Yeah.
Going into the real playoffs, all I can say is my wife told me about this conspiracy theory about the Super Bowl logo. You guys heard about that?
I heard that logo. I did hear that.
Colors on it?
All I'm saying is that it's purple and red.
Purple and red.
Interesting.
I heard that also. Yeah.
So,
interesting.
Those are my final thoughts.
Okay.
I just like to stir the pot sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm all for it. All right, Lauren, final thoughts.
I'm my final thoughts are my Super Bowl prediction now is Ravens Lions.
Okay. All right, Ravens Lions. That's real interesting. That's not red. So that's obviously not right. Ian, what about you?
Not my theory.
that crushes that theory. I am going to say that as a Clevelander living in Philadelphia, I am more excited for the Browns than I am the Eagles right now.
I would be too. I
mean, you kind of have to be.
I'm more excited for my Brownies right now.
You kind of have to be. The momentum, as they say, is not on your side.
It's a good story.
So, I mean, you lost to the Cardinals, which we didn't even touch on.
Listen, I would love to have seen Joe Flacco balling out with Amari Cooper with Nick Chubb still in that.
Ooh, my fantasy team would too. Would have loved to see that.
But you know what? That is something I would have loved to talk about. How 2 of the Cardinals' 4 wins this year were against the Cowboys and the Eagles. So Ferg, what's final thoughts, man?
I'm gonna go. All right, so for this week, and I reserve the right to change next week. I'm gonna go hot Super Bowl take because the NFL is the only sports league that doesn't mind when they have baseball outcomes, like small markets make it too big.
Because it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because we're still gonna watch. Like my boy Merle said, and I wish I had Merle's tweet that he put up the other day. How the NFL just came in and put their foot up on the couch on the NBA's Christmas Day. 27 million viewers plus the 4. So I'm gonna go. Like I really believe in this Joe Flacco shit. Don't ask me why.
Yeah.
Cleveland, Detroit, Super Bowl. How about that?
Oh, that would be the greatest.
That would be amazing. Two great fan bases.
He's been to Super Bowls.
I mean, that would be deserving. I don't know who would deserve, what city deserves the win.
Cleveland.
I mean, like, fuck San Fran and Miami and
That's
Dallas.
the blue collar bowl. That would be the blue collar bowl.
Let some of these guys get one.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, it would.
Man, look, to see either Kevin Stefanski or Dan Campbell win that game would be awesome.
Oh yeah,
like, that would be awesome. I have a really good friend of mine that's a diehard Lions fan. So,
side note, Dan Campbell, you was on some bullshit with that shit you tried to pull. We didn't get into that shit with the damn Lions.
But we can next week. We can get into a bunch of shit next week because we're going through the Super Bowl week and stuff. Yeah. So final thought for me would be, I think so that they flex the Texans Colts game to Saturday night on ABC. As you see, I am repping the Texans today. So let's go with the hot take, long shot streamer Super Bowl pick. We'll go with the red and the red and the red and purple and go Texans. Texans Lions. Oh, wow. Texans Niners in the Super Bowl.
All right.
Yeah, and Niners.
That's long. That's long right there.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Super long.
That's around the corner. Niners that's around the corner long shot.
Yeah,
right there.
Niners dominate. So All right. So until next week, we'll be here at 7:30 on Wednesday night. EJ, let me know during the week if you can join us or not. And for Lauren, Ian the champ times 17. I'm Clintonian. You got Mr. Ferg down there who won 9 championships this year. Mr. EJ who was 0-3. And Lauren, Who Dat Nation.
That's brutal.
Hold on. I got one more before we go.
Brutal, Clint.
I fucked up.
I'm
I fucked this up. I wrote it right here. We would keep going with this conversation. Shout out to my favorite baby mama, my favorite wife. Her birthday today, January 3rd.
Okay, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Ari, it's your birthday. And also shout out to Reedsville basketball for winning the John Wall Invitational down in Raleigh with all the big boys in North Carolina this week.
All right, well, you need to have some of them cats go to suit up for the Tar Heels. So
Hubert was there. Hubert was in the building.
I'm 100% sure he was. So until next week, we will see y'all later. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Football Show with No Name, and we will holler at y'all later on.
Deuces.
I like that playoff fever.
Playoff fever.
I didn't even see that till just now.
We're still live.
No, Ferg probably cut it off a minute ago.
I did. I cut it. It's just waiting to go. You know, these are bloopers that'll be on
Bye,
our field.
bye, EJ.
One day when we get bought by ESPN, this will make our blooper reel. I have no idea why it hasn't cut off.
So are we actually live or no?
Yes, I hit in stream like 3 minutes ago. Like we're still going. There we go. I believe.
No, it's still live.
Hey, talk about
Still
something
counting.
else. Hey, let's
How
Still
about
counting.
Browns and Eagles in the Super Bowl? How about that?
Ooh, that would be the
Browns
all
and
Ian Bowl. That would be the
a
all
tough
Ian
one.
Bowl.
I don't know what I would do. I really. Nah,
You'd have to
it'd
go
be
for the Browns.
It'd be-
Yeah, I would get,
It'd
my
be
dad
Browns.
used to ask me that question when the Patriots and the Saints, because they almost went, and I would say Saints because that's where I was born.
Hey, Ferg, try logging out and then logging back in.
I just did that. Let me see. Let's
Okay.
try that
We're